Joining us now here on Can Media, Diana McQueen, the Minister of Environment and Sustainable Resource Development here with the province of Alberta. Diana, you were one of the speakers here in one of the sessions. Tell us what you were talking about.
Well, it was a great opportunity to be able to hear and to discuss life cycle emissions, the work that Alberta is doing with regards to our greenhouse gas emission strategy, and to really be able to sit on the panel and hear what industry is doing, where environmental groups are talking about, but really all of us talking about the need to reduce emissions and all of us doing our part with regards to that.
Well, tell us what life cycle emission means to you.
Well, it really means for us that we're taking a broad perspective. So when we look at from the development of our resources to the end product use, so from we often use the words wells to wheels. So as we develop the resources and then we use them in the transportation sector or in other areas, as we use the products, the importance of that. But making sure that we're looking at the greenhouse gas emissions that are related to that, not just in the oil and gas where it's produced, but also as we look in the transportation sector, all of those areas. So as we develop our greenhouse gas emission reduction strategies led by the federal government, we're using a sector-by-sector approach and looking at how do we look at all of those sectors.
One of the key things that we're hearing here, sustainability is always key when it comes to the industry, and responsibility as well.
Absolutely, and one of the questions was about who's responsible. Well, we're all responsible, so we have to make sure that as government we're doing our part to make sure the reductions are happening. Industry is working through those regulations that we put forward to reduce the emissions, but then each one of us as individuals do our part. We have a program in our department called One Simple Act, everybody doing their part to make sure that we're all collectively working to reduce emissions.
Mm-hmm. Is there a chance that down the road, in order to get the public on board, well, and not all the public obviously, but those who have concerns about the oil industry, is there a chance down the road that Alberta could be going towards more of a proactive role when it comes to sites as far as ensuring that there's zero spillage, that there's zero stain left behind as well?
Well, Alberta, we have to be very proud in this province. We are one of the most highly regulated places globally, and we make sure that not only as far as reduction in our greenhouse gases and meeting our targets, but also on the reclamation side, that is all done through regulation, making sure that as we develop our resources, that the cleanup and the reclamation must happen as well. And so, as Albertans, we may not all know exactly all of the work that's put into that, but we should be very proud on how far we take on the regulations, right from the development to the reclamation.
Mm-hmm. Feel free if this is a topic that you don't want to touch on, but we had the Lac Megantic disaster. We had a train derailment here in Alberta recently as well. With Lac Megantic, of course, the company ended up going under because it didn't have the resources to cover the damages. Is that something that you would look at here in Alberta? Is that perhaps companies with liability need to have a dollar for dollar value as far as being able to cover any things that could go wrong? Well,
I'll speak from the perspective of the Mine Financial Security Program that we have. So we make sure that as companies are developing the resources, that they actually are putting mine financial security in place so that if that did happen to a company here, the dollars have already been put in place so that the reclamation will happen.
What happens in your battle to try and convince people that the oil industry is safe when we have a train derailment like we had? What does that do to you and your position?
Well, we, as I say, have a very highly regulated sector, oil and gas sector. Many of our sectors in the province of Alberta, incidents will happen, and that was a very unfortunate incident when they do happen. But what's important is that we learn from them and we have continuous improvement as we continue to develop our different sectors.
I guess the challenge is to try and convince people that we're shipping oil through pipelines and by rail all over the place. And these accidents really don't happen that often, do they?
They don't, but we take every one of them very serious. Safety for our citizens and for the environment are first and foremost. But we want to make sure that we continue to access markets to move all our products, whether that's forestry, agriculture, oil and gas, or other products, but to do it in the safest manner that we can in this province.
Diana, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah.
We've been chatting with Diana McQueen here on Can Media.